All right, hello everybody. This is Beloved and Everlasting Conversation, episode 4. I'm Dante.
Traven
Today we'll be talking about forgiveness
and revenge, if we can get to
and
it.
revenge. Yeah.
So I pulled up the definition already, as always. It says, the action or process of forgiving or being forgiven. I guess you can click that. Forgive. Stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense, flaw, or mistake. That's a good start right there, a mistake,
Like that one.
a flaw, or an offense. I don't know, I feel like forgiveness is definitely something very difficult. To forgive is it takes a lot of strength, and I think there's a huge misconception about forgiving and being forgiveness or forgiving someone. Forgiving yourself is a sign of weakness. When I think it's actually the complete opposite, where it's a complete sign of strength, of like complete strength. Because if you can truly forgive someone for doing you wrong in your heart, then that shows that you have great inner strength to show love and compassion towards that person, because you can understand that maybe the choices they made weren't exactly made to directly harm you. They were just made because they have their own things going on, their own problems in their own head. They got their own life, all their own challenges and battles to go through. And unfortunately, maybe that's affected them and how they act towards you. And like personally, not even in forgiveness, when people are like rude to me, like people I don't know, I really try never to take offense to it, because I more feel bad in a way. I kind of feel this, like I just like look at them like, dang, like something's going on so wrong in your life that you're projecting it outward. It's an anger for yourself within. That's why I think it's good to forgive people. And I'll start off there so you can like jump in a little bit before I go on
Oh
to.
yeah, I like the way you started that off. Yeah, I think to go bounce off of what you're saying with like forgiving other people, the way I like to see it too is we're all raised differently. You know, we're all raised by different people, whether it's your parents, grandparents, or whoever, and not everybody has the same values, the same moral standards, and just overall the same just environment, if
Mm-hmm.
you will. So a lot of the times, things that, even between us, right? Things that might be normal in my household is very different from
Mm-hmm.
yours, and that's just the way it is for many people. I'd say probably everybody. So when some people do certain things or take certain actions or say certain things to someone, a lot of the times it may not even be on purpose. I'm not trying to excuse everybody's actions, but a lot of times it just could be that from their household, this is the way things were and the way things worked in order to progress, I guess, whatever it may be. Whether it's like you're raised in an aggressive household, so the best way to deal with that is to be aggressive right back.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're interacting with people, that's your go-to. But the other person might just be from a household where everything was very much, you talked it out, very
Mm-hmm.
calm. It
Very
might
about
be, yeah,
emotions.
right. And the way I see it is, like I said, everybody's different.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody's the same and was raised the same. So I like to see it as though, you know what, the way I see things, it doesn't automatically mean it's the right way to see things. I don't mean that I have all the answers or just with anybody, but I feel like it just requires, I guess, a level of awareness, I'd say, and some compassion to realize that sometimes what people are doing is just what they know. And that's why I believe it's better to forgive and show love
Mm-hmm.
to everybody, as opposed to retaliation when you brought up revenge. But I don't know if you had anything to add on
I
to that.
think what you said was pretty interesting. That bringing up the environment people grow up in,
Hmm.
because yeah, the environment you grow up in really like can affect how you are with other people, especially like in the household, especially. Like there can be like certain households or I know growing up, because this is not me getting all sappy and like sad, but my father wasn't around when I was like progressing into a man. I only had my mom, so it was okay for me to like cry, to show emotions, to let things out, and I think that's definitely affected me in a way. That's not even about forgiveness. Let's get off that. Hold up, I'm just going off on this separate topic. I don't know where I was going with that. I think I had a point, but regardless, the environment you grow up in can definitely affect how you treat people, and I have never considered that fully when considering how people act and forgiving them. I more just think of, like I was saying, like this person's probably going through something and they don't even realize what they're doing is wrong.
Right.
And that's why I gotta show a loving act, and my loving act is in forgiveness.
Yep.
But to talk more about forgiveness, I think the thing I struggle the most with forgiveness is like self-forgiveness. Forgiving yourself for certain things. Because if you're really trying to become a better person, get closer to God, you gotta repent on your own sins. You know, we're sinful people. Everyone sins. It's not just like no one's close to Christ. We could say
Right.
like no one's a not sinful person.
Yeah.
Sinful person, and you gotta look at yourself, look in the mirror, and realize the things you've done to sin, but you shouldn't like punish yourself for that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's wrong. You did wrong, but if you can recognize the wrong, that's step one. Step two is to begin to repent, and step three is to forgive yourself, because the Lord has already forgiven you, you
Yep.
know, for what you've done.
Yep.
Because the Lord knew you were gonna sin. And yeah, bro, taking that step into self-forgiveness is probably my biggest struggle. And I don't know if you feel the same way about that, or
Oh, I do. And I like the key points you put there. To recognize that you did wrong, but you have to also show compassion on yourself and to forgive yourself for those wrongs. And yeah, I think our biggest enemy sometimes could be ourselves, trying to better ourselves, or, whether we see the wrongs that we're doing and we beat ourselves up on it, or just being too hard on ourselves for our own standards or whatever standards that we have set. But I think that's definitely something, I've had to work on myself with self-forgiveness. But I think it also, once you start to realize and show yourself some patience and compassion and self-forgiveness, it becomes also easier to show that for other people as well. But I do believe it starts with forgiving yourself, because at the end of the day, you have to live with yourself. That's the only person you're going to be with for the rest of your life. So you always have to show show compassion and love to yourself. That's very critical, I would say. And forgiveness is the biggest thing, because you're always going to make mistakes. You're never going to go life without making mistakes. Even sometimes throughout the days, you're not going to go a day without making a mistake, whether you realize it or not. But hopefully, if you do, and when you do realize it, is to, as you said, repent and try your best not to do it, but not to beat yourself up for whatever it is that you did do.
I think a huge step in that path is to, after you start like repenting more and forgiving yourself more, like realizing you're doing wrong, is to be able to catch yourself at the exact moment you did something wrong, in that exact moment, and then tell the person or whatever the problem is.
Right.
Like I've noticed, like recently, there have been times where I notice I instantly do something wrong or I say something wrong, and instantly I'll be like, I didn't mean that, I'm sorry, that was wrong. And you don't make an excuse for it.
Right.
I think that's important, to completely own up to it.
You have
There
to
is
be
like
genuine.
no real excuse. You have to own up to it and say that this was wrong and apologize.
Right.
And I think that's for yourself, I should say. I think when it comes to other people, if someone does you wrong, like I've had many friends, or I guess they're not friends anymore, but people who've done me wrong in my life and just cut me off. And even though they never apologize, I still forgive them. You still have to forgive them, because if you hold on to that resentment and anger, the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to become a more miserable person, I feel like. If you keep on holding on, like questioning like things about it, like, oh, why aren't they apologizing? Oh, I can never forgive them. I hate this person. Why would they do me like that? Da 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 da. All the above. You're gonna end up being more miserable, and that person's gonna move on with their life.
It does
to be
more
honest
to
with you,
harm your own mental health than it
Yeah.
does anybody else.
They're not gonna apologize probably, unfortunately.
Right.
But you can still forgive them.
Yep.
You can still forgive someone even if they don't apologize.
Yep.
And that's truly gonna help you more than it's gonna help. It's gonna help you more than it might help them, because they might not even care, to be honest. Most of the time, unfortunately. But it does remind me of I'm not sure the exact verse, or I'm pretty sure it's in one of the Gospels, where it says, "Forgive others as I have forgiven you." It's Christ talking to the disciples from the perspective of the Father. Basically, forgive everyone as the way your sins are forgiven through the Christ, through the sacrifice of Jesus. So basically, just forgive. This is showing love. That's all it really is. It relates back to the other episode, showing love
Yep.
through forgiveness. You're showing love to yourself, you're helping yourself, you're showing love to others, and through that you're showing true love to God. So it's 3 things you just hit. So
Heavy right there. That's all. Yep. Everything you just said. And yeah, what was I gonna say?
all right, guys, thanks for watching.
No, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, forgiveness. I think, well, I mean, forgiving others in general I think that's just the best way to grow, not for yourself, but even for the other person, to just show them compassion. And it's only real forgiveness when you know, like what you said, where not everybody is going to, feel any remorse or anything for their actions or words or anything like that. There's some people who probably never will. They don't see any wrong. They think that whatever they did was right. But it's only real forgiveness when you let go of those emotions, when you have to choose to let that go. And a lot of the times, I feel like it's not something that you just say and then that's it. The way I see that is it's something you have to do daily a lot of the times, you know. One day you might be completely fine and have no sort of feelings towards whatever it is, the wrong that someone did to you. And then the very next day, maybe you're in a situation where you're reminded and then all of a sudden you're thinking to yourself, oh, never mind, actually, you know what? Like, I'm not going to let that slide just as easily as I did. I think it requires a lot of work daily to always forgive. Just like as you always have to, it requires work daily to forgive yourself of the wrongs that you've done. And that's something I've had to work on and learn for myself as well. Because that's all part of the process of being human and growing and progressing. Realizing that who you were before, even yesterday, who you were yesterday, last week, last month, last year, hopefully, if you're progressing positively, is not the person you were in the past. And obviously, when you look back, there's always going to be situations, there's going to be things that you'll remember and just think to yourself, like, why did I do that? I shouldn't have done that. But you're looking at it in the lens of the standards of who you are now. But it's those mistakes and those choices that have led you to be the person who you are today. And you just have to forgive yourself for that, but also at the same time be grateful for those trials and those errors that you went through that led you to be who you are now, And that's why, you always have to show that compassion to yourself first and foremost, because I have to stress it that, you're the person, you got to live with yourself. So you just got to show yourself that love. You got to show yourself that your forgiveness, and just as best you can let go of what you did before, but remember it only so that you won't make those same mistakes again, hopefully.
I think the only thing I would disagree with is, you just reminded me right now, is that earlier you said, and right now, is that you have to live with yourself only.
Right.
I do think there's actually is someone else. You have to live with God.
Right.
And God knows your heart. God really knows your heart. He knows what's really in there. So that's why it has to be a true forgiveness in there, And I'm not saying that, I think you would agree with this, we're not saying that to just forgive someone and forget about the thing they might have done to you.
Right.
Because that's not it. Forgiveness is a showing of love, an action of showing love. It's just showing of strength. Real quick, I'm going to check if it's recording. Hey, we're good, guys. Sorry about that. So I was saying...
That'd have been something.
I was saying that you don't need... I'm not a believer in the saying, what is it? They say, like, forgive and forget. What is it? Something like that?
Yeah, forgive and forget.
Or don't forget, forgive, I don't know.
Oh,
I don't
forgive,
believe in
but
forgetting.
don't forget.
It's important
like
to understand what someone's done to you. And the pain is not going to go away if it's something they did pretty bad, clearly.
Right.
But still understand that they had reasons and stuff for hurting you, like I'm saying, these friends before in the past. That, like, honestly, I'll talk about it a little bit, I guess. I've had friends literally backstab me over a girl because he liked the same girl that I liked. And it's like, damn, bro, if you had just told me that you liked her, I would have literally just pulled back and been like, all right, bro, that's all you.
Yeah.
But like, and he just like made me lose all my friends at the time. But it is what it is, you know.
Right.
At the end of that, I can understand, I can forgive him for what he did, but I'm probably not going to be friends with that person anymore, regardless, because it was just like, whoa, let's relax here.
Yeah.
I can forgive him and move on
Right.
and grow from the situation, because
Mhm.
now I've learned about how to be more careful about things
Mhm.
and how to spot certain things in people. But I don't hold any ill will towards that person.
Yep.
I just want them to grow in their own way and have their own path. And I forgive them for what they did, even if they never apologize, like we said. But you don't have to let your inner emotions go, but just don't dwell on a hatred towards that person for what they did, I would say.
Mhm.
That's where the forgiveness comes into showing them love still, and understanding that everyone's a flawed character. Everyone
Yep.
has their own issues, like I said. That's that, I think.
I
don't
like
know.
the point that you made there, because I was actually gonna. That was the point I was gonna get to as well. With forgiveness, it's like you said. It doesn't necessarily mean that that person has to be in your life exactly the same way as they were before. You know, it's not to judge. Again, it's to understand that people have their reasons for whatever it is that they have come to the logic that they did what they did, but it's not to judge them for it or reprimand them for it. But you can use your own discernment in order to decide whether this person, you want to keep them in your circle or not. You still show them love regardless, but that doesn't mean they have to be the person that you share everything with as they used to, like if you were close friends or whatnot, or be with that person who you used to be with. But that's where the forgiveness comes from. Some might say, well, if you forgive someone, then you should be able to let them back in, just as it is. But sometimes the way things go, it doesn't necessarily mean that. It's just forgiveness is just letting go of any of the negative feelings that you have, any of the anger, the resentment, whatever it is that happened, to let that go and just see them for who they are. Still show them love, still respect that person, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to still sit at your table. But I think that's also a key point, and also just showing yourself as well, like self-respect, um, and just respect for the other person as well, for whatever the situation was, or whatever it is that you have to forgive that person for. But
Like not to like get all therapist, but another person is that my father. I've forgiven him for what he did to my family, but I don't talk to the man.
right,
He's like done too much stuff to me to where I feel like he doesn't know how to be a man, how to be a father. So I can't be around that, because it's just more of a harmful relationship to me, in my opinion, than to be a beneficial one. But I still understand that maybe he didn't have that in his life, and that caused him to continue the cycle. But it's up to me to forgive him, because he probably didn't forgive his own father, and to break the cycle for me personally, so I can grow from that
yep,
and take what I can learn from that.
Yeah.
Shoot, I guess that's like forgiveness for the most part. I think
I'd
we can
say
talk
so.
about the latter side,
Yeah,
the revenge part. Revenge is a double-edged sword. It reminds me of the book that we're reading, Notes from the Underground,
Yeah.
where the narrator talks about
oh, real quick, not to cut
how
you off. You want to bring up the definition for that one
Confucius.
too?
Oh yeah,
Real
sorry
quick
guys,
before you start.
can't break the code. The definition of revenge: the action of inflicting hurt or harm on someone for an injury or wrong suffered at their hands. So like earlier we talked about mistakes for forgiveness
Right.
and an offense towards you.
Right.
So clearly the opposite of forgiveness is revenge, and that's why we're talking about it. To go out and get your revenge on someone for them hurting you. And shoot, I'm gonna take some revenge right now. In all seriousness, like I was saying, in the book that we're reading, Notes from the Underground, the narrator talks about revenge at some point in the beginning, and he discusses how when you're doing revenge, all you're really doing is harming yourself more. At the end of the day, the person who you want to get your revenge on, they're not going to be harmed compared to the harm that is done to your own soul on the inside. It's like I told you about the quote from Confucius. It goes, before you embark on a journey of revenge, dig 2 graves. Because you're really going to end up hurting yourself too at the end of the day. In my opinion, revenge is never going to be worth it. Even if you get your revenge, personally, I've never taken my revenge on anyone, but I just know that the feeling that you would have at the end of it would not be satisfying. You would feel empty. You would feel more depressed than when you came into that situation. Revenge is not the path to take, even if you tell yourself that you feel good after it, I don't think you're being
It's only a
honest with
fleeting
yourself.
feeling.
It's not truly a satisfying feeling in your heart. Because in your heart of hearts, you know what's right, you know what's wrong, you know? And I think that goes for everyone, because I think morals are in your heart and they're ingrained in there. It doesn't come from anywhere else. I think it's in there. It's in every human. So I don't know if you want to hop on board with that real quick.
Yeah. Well, just to go off of what you said, I wholeheartedly agree with that. That I feel like morals are in you and in your heart. I think because the way I see it is this: love is a language that doesn't even need to be spoken. If you have people can show love through their actions, what they do. You don't even need beyond even telling someone I love you, a person can feel it just by what you do for them, what they see. And just based off of that, well, on the opposite side, people can feel the hate, they can feel the revenge. And I agree that it isn't ever going to truly be satisfying when you take revenge, because you'll always feel that what you did was wrong. No matter what. And I feel like that's the difference right there. If someone wrongs you, in their mind, it could have been nothing that was purposeful. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it was an action that they took. But for you to take revenge, a lot of times it's you trying to make a logical, I guess, loophole, whatever it is that you need to enact whatever actions that you feel is necessary. But the fact that you have to create loopholes or you have to convince yourself in and of itself already tells you that you know that what you're doing is wrong. And again, that's worse for you than it is for that other person, because you're just going to feel that guilt, I would say. And even if you don't feel that guilt, again, you're just going to make more excuses and loopholes to not feel the guilt. And I think that kind of goes with what you were saying in the book, Notes from the Underground. When he was speaking on someone who does take revenge, he said, what was he saying? He essentially said that a person who takes revenge a lot of the times because of their lack of higher awareness. He said, because they'll just go based off of whatever first surface level emotions that they feel. And I feel like that's what it is a lot of times. If you take revenge, you just feel as though whether it's out of anger, out of spite or whatever, you feel as though the only way to truly satisfy that is to take back or to do something else. When the reality is to do true inner works on yourself. I feel as though nothing that is truly worth, what's the word I'm looking at? Nothing that's truly worth really keeping, it never comes easy. It always is going to require work to actually truly satisfy. I feel like, and just with anything, whether it comes from happiness, joy, forgiveness, anything, forgiving yourself, it always comes, you always need to do the genuine work. And that's the hard part, showing up every day and doing that, whatever it is. It doesn't even have to, a lot of times it is mental, and you have to do that for yourself, because everything else that the world tries to offer you in a way of satisfying you is only there to satisfy the flesh. It's never going to give you true, real satisfaction that you'll feel in your heart, you'll feel in your spirit. And that's the only way that you'll really feel that you did right, I would say. Or you feel...
By forgiving.
Right, yeah.
I think, to hop on what you were saying, another thing that came to mind is, if you really want that person to feel something, revenge will take on its own. It says in the Bible that, pretty sure it's in Paul's or Peter, it says, don't take revenge, leave that to me. Leave that to God.
Yep.
Something will, not saying God's gonna punish them, or maybe God will punish them. God's a just God, a just person. But we're saying, the true way you're gonna feel something truly good in your heart is by showing that love, by forgiving. You can lie to yourself as much as you want and say that you feel good from revenge, but you don't. Unless you're just a straight up narcissist. But you have to be able to forgive to truly move forward with your own emotions, to feel good in your heart. That revenge is not going to satisfy you. That revenge is never going to make you feel good.
Nope.
You might think it does, but it's not. And maybe we're just getting too much into other people, but I just think that's the truth. That's the reality of the situation, unfortunately. Maybe you guys just need to hear the truth, or anyone needs to hear the truth. But shit, I lost my train of thought. I don't know if you want to hop on that.
No, but yeah, what you're speaking, that it is the truth. And I'm just going to keep going with what I said for yourself and for others. I feel as though a lot of the times, maybe this is going a little bit off of topic, but I feel as though it relates. A lot of the times, whether it's people around us or the world likes to tell us that we need to do certain things in order to make ourselves feel good, whatever it is, whether it's alcohol, drugs, or chasing people,
Just reminded me.
whatever it might be, in order to satisfy whatever hole it is. And even talking about revenge, again, getting back at someone or doing whatever it is that you need to do to satisfy whatever it is within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But again, a lot of that stuff is only fleeting.
Mm-hmm.
Those are only very temporary emotions or temporary feelings that you'll feel. It's never going to get to the root cause.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's just like it's like you're getting to the symptoms, but you're not really curing the disease.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's why, again, it takes a lot of work, a lot of awareness, a lot of discipline, and again, it's gonna take a lot of forgiveness for yourself for making these changes, because it's not something that's just gonna happen overnight. You know, it's something that you're gonna constantly work. There's gonna be some days that you're gonna be better than others, but again, it starts with yourself. You have to forgive yourself for these things and forgive others as they're just in the same boat as you.
Mm-hmm.
But you look like you figured out what you were gonna say.
Yeah, you remind me of talking about, I think a big thing when people take revenge is because they want to have control again. They want to assert control. They have a need for control, to control something after they've suffered. So it's like a need to take back that control by inflicting the pain back onto the other person, to feel like they have control over their own life. But the truth is, that's a temporary control that you're going to feel, and it's not true control. True control is to forgive, to let your emotions, to feel your emotions, to forgive yourself, and to also surrender your control to that, to surrender your control to God, to surrender all of that, because you're not going to feel better from taking revenge. Maybe I have taken revenge, but I don't think I ever really have ever taken revenge in my life. Have you?
Not I guess I would count it as revenge if I'm in an argument with someone and someone something that someone says
And you
gets in my nerves
clap
or
back.
something, yeah, and I get right back.
I guess yeah, then I've done that. I was
That's
thinking more
the-
like crazy revenge stuff.
if I consider that, I would say that's vengeance, because I'm trying to get back at that
Yeah.
person for what they said to me. That's what I would say in terms of vengeance. But again, even for me, at the end of the day, I do feel bad, because I don't know what I said was out of pocket or
yeah,
was
you
uncalled
feel bad
for.
after doing it. You feel bad after saying anything bad back to someone, because it's like you're not gonna feel good about it. The truth is, you're gonna feel good when you forgive that person for saying or doing whatever they did. It's just like the book said, like Confucius says, it's gonna harm you more than it's gonna harm the other person. Like, you're not really gonna gain anything from that. You might think you're gaining something, but we keep repeating over and over, what you're truly gonna gain from is by forgiving, by showing that compassion and love, by growing from your pain, to be able to show forgiveness, because that's true strength, bro. That's like true strength. That's such an inner strength in you to be able to forgive. And I will never, if anyone ever tells me forgiving is weakness, then I can tell that person is weak-minded, unfortunately. And I pray that person can change and realize that the true strength is in forgiving someone, because it's hard to forgive. It's not easy. It's not an easy task. It's not like I'm like, oh yeah,
at all.
that's so easy. I'll forgive this person for what they did. I'll forgive these friends for what they did to me. But it's like, nah, it hurts. I feel the pain. You've hurt me. You've hurt me bad. But I understand that you're going through your own stuff, and I'm still going to forgive you for that. That's true strength right there, you know?
Yeah. You just have to realize we're all human,
Like you said in another episode, everyone's trying their best.
Yep. we don't come on this earth with a blueprint on how to live life. You know,
Yeah.
everybody's here trying to figure it out as best they can, and it comes with a lot of mistakes, ourselves and others. We just have to. I think we just all have to realize that and show that love to everybody.
Shoot. Is that all we got?
I mean, I'd say, I think we really emphasize a lot of the points, you know, by talking them over and over. I don't know if there was any more points. I'd say we touched on just about.
I feel like just
A lot.
overall, just to summarize, first off, learn to forgive yourself for the things you've done.
Yep.
Understand that you make mistakes, that you're not perfect, that don't hold yourself accountable.
Right.
Repent, look in the mirror and realize what you've done, but don't keep punishing yourself for that. Forgive yourself as the Lord has forgiven you, and then forgive others as the Lord has forgiven you. You have to be able to do all these things in order to grow into the best version of yourself, to get closer to God. That's what life is really about. These fucking bugs. I cursed on podcast finally. Dang it.
Oh. You gotta forgive yourself. You gotta forgive yourself for it.
Huh?
I said you gotta forgive yourself for it.
I do gotta forgive myself for that. Or I gotta bleep it out, edit it out. I don't know if you want to summarize some stuff there too.
No, yeah,
But-
you hit the points. Just be patient. I'd say, just gotta be patient with yourself.
And others.
You're not perfect, and you never will be perfect. Be patient with yourself, and I feel like naturally you'll become more patient with others. So just about summarizes it, yeah.
All right. That's it for this episode, this vlog, guys. This has been Beloved and Everlasting, David.
Dante.
And you've probably been wondering what I've been sipping on this whole time. We got those Santa Cruz Paleo electrolytes from our sponsor, Santa Cruz Paleo. Use the code Beloved and Everlasting or the code Tronte to get a discount, 10% off your order. And also shout out to our other sponsor, Old School Barbell, best gym in California, maybe
Yes,
the
sir.
world. And yeah, shout out Easy too. Have a good night.